welcome back. Episode 33 of the Audionals show. Today, going to talk about making it more affordable for musicians to utilize the power of on-chain music production and distribution. So, yeah, looking forward to it. And let's start by playing the latest bit of Audionals technology. The new inscriptions are coming out, and they're looking great, sounding great. 12 minutes of audio now possible, with a 3 kilobyte master file being the only thing you have to inscribe. So we're getting there. We're getting there. So there you go. That was the first of the new batch. We've been obviously working on this for well, over a year now, and we did put some earlier versions out. I'm just looking for them, see if I can find them here, using the older version of the player. And in fact, we've got one going right back. Where's the earliest one? The earliest one was called I Love Cheese, the first Audionals song that we put out. I'm just seeing if I can find it here. Yeah, there's one. Let's have a look at this. This is quite a while ago. I'm just going to look at when that was. So it's 28 million. I should bring that up on here. Oh, I'm still learning my way around OBS. Right, which one is that? Is it that one? No. Right, I need the other Chrome one. Maybe I'll show you this. This is the newer one. I just really like the inscription number of this guy. 722222277. Let's have a little listen to this while I figure out what I'm doing in OBS. Okay, here it is. Here's I Love Cheese from way back when, the first recursive song that we put on chain. Is it going to work? Oh, that's right. I remember now. You've got to go to the content link. Here we go. do love cheese, but yeah, that was the very first player, I think, that I put out. That was I Love Cheese by Rex Speedway and the Denim Avengers, a mellophonic remix, the first on-chain remix, all using recursive sounds that I had inscribed separately and then brought together in a fairly simple 8-track, I think the sequencer was for that, which I did inscribe, which you can see somewhere. I'm sure I've posted that in previous shows. There is a version of the sequencer that you can play with, and you can load Audional samples in. Unfortunately, all the samples I was creating at the time were all in text. I wasn't using audio. I was playing with the new Audionals protocol, really, by converting, which involved converting audio into text into base 64 so that it could be served in a JSON with kind of unlimited metadata, which just takes pressure off future applications when your audio can turn up in a smart format like that. But I have backtracked on that and opened up the new sequencer. Now accepts all audio, so you can put any existing inscriptions, inscribed audio, MP3, WAV, FLAC. FLAC is a really good one if you're looking for high quality audio. FLAC is a lossless audio compression format that gives you studio quality sound, so it's no different to full resolution WAV, but it's about half, sometimes 60% smaller than WAV files. So it's still considerably larger than MP3, 2 or 3 times larger than the equivalent MP3, probably 3 or 4 times in fact, but it's unbeatable in terms of audio quality, and to have some of that on chain is a lot of fun. We've been playing with the OB1s, all of the OB1 collection. They're slowly being inscribed and auctioned off. They've been selling for kind of outrageous prices, but I guess, you know, when you look at what we are doing here, it really does actually make sense, because, for example, we one of the first inscriptions that the OB1s made was just a generic 808 kick drum and an 808 snare. And while these are generic sounds that are ubiquitous and no one can own the rights to the 808 snare or the 808 kick drum, but once it's inscribed, someone can own that version. No one else is stopped from inscribing their own versions, but why would they go to the why would they, you know, bear the burden of cost when someone else has already done it? And that really does mean that someone could end up owning you know, not the rights, but they own the recording that everybody uses, and therefore they become part of a potential Merkle tree of royalty holders, you know, sample holders. And that's one of the things that we're looking to demonstrate as we move forward and start bringing out these Audional songs, is that there is a plan to pay royalties to everybody who is involved in the song. And when I say everybody, that's not the information that we get on chain. When a song file is created, for example, when you use the save button here, you can see it says this button will save your sequence into a JSON file for download, so you can recall it later on. This JSON file format contains not just the sequence of instructions for what to play and when. The what to play is the important thing, because that all involves accessing these inscriptions. If I want a kick drum, which kick drum am I using? Okay, I'm using a specific kick drum, say the OB1 kick drum, so I'm pulling in that specific ordinal ID into the song and then triggering it. And so all of the song files, the very first entry on the song files is a list of, URL. So with the 16 channel sequencer, if you've got 16 unique sounds, each of those sounds is represented by a single ordinal ID in this top list. Whether it's a sound, be it a kick drum, or whether you've gone and found an amazing rare Skrilla sample that you really like, where there's an entire rare Skrilla song, and again you've pulled in this song into the sequencer, which you can do in this method here. You would just paste the ordinal ID, in fact it goes in here, for the song, and then you're able to trim that song down. All of these trims in here, I don't know if there's any longer ones. No, this is a drum one. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. I was going to show people, this is a good way to find audio, is to go and search on audionals.hero.so inscriptions, because here you can come in and you can search for audio. There's also Vermilion, which I've mentioned to a few people. Their audio search isn't quite there yet, but I've been talking to these guys, and I'm really excited about what they've done already with the ability to search visually as well. You don't have to search by collections. You can just search visually for eyes, for example, and now it's going to bring in all these different inscriptions that it has visually recognized as having eyes, which is just super cool. I'll get onto something else I'm doing with that later, but we're making recursive music videos now as well to go with the songs, and Vermilion's going to be a huge a huge tool in that new avenue. But anyway, so if we go to here to Hero Ordinals, just going to broaden this view here again, so you can see the address there on the page. So yeah, this is the site where I do most of the audio searching at the moment. This is just looking at the newest ones. I haven't had a listen to what's Reaper. So yeah, this is another good example. This is an awesome piece of music that's been put on here, but it's been really sort of shredded with bitrate reduction, which is we can hopefully move to a point soon where the entire backing track of this song could be recreated in an on-chain environment, and then all of the money that was spent on inscribing this kind of complex mix could be spent on just the vocal, and then the vocal can be treated with a variable bitrate reduction. There's a lot you can do with vocals. There's a lot of sections of vocals where there's no sibilance, which is most of it usually, where you can go to a very low bitrate and you can't hear it, and you can variable bitrate this entire thing section by section, and you can get them quite small. And then when you then associate, and you can also inscribe that as an MP3, but then you're sticking it on top of a backing track that's using WAV audio, you get just such a massive improvement in quality. But anyway, to show you what we can do here, so I'm talking about royalties being paid to sample holders. So you might think of a sample holder as owning the 808 kick, the 808 snare. They're going to be used a lot. But what about things like this? What about this song? What about if I just really like that vocal section? So I can come in here, I can copy the ID, copy the inscription, the ordinal ID there, go back into the sequencer, paste that ordinal ID in here, load, and it's just showing me the ID is loaded. But I can now go into this trim window, and that's now showing me the entire track. So while in my settings file I've still just got that short ID, what that links to is this, a huge swathe of audio, but all I want is a small section, and so I can trim down to this section to find the bit that I want. Let's go. I need to improve this trimmer section a little bit. So there's a bit of a zoom and you can be more accurate there. But anyway, so just to show you, I've now trimmed that down like so. In fact, what I might do is load this OB1 template, which has got all the kicks and things in it, and then we'll just do that again in this channel. You can rename it as well, I think, if we add channel name. Let's go. And then do that trimming again. So we'll just get that. Let's go. Let's go. And then we could program a beat, so we go like a 4/4. In fact, we could go slow, then get the hats in here like that. 808 snare like this. Couple of claps and so we've also got that green step there. If I use the control, again, we're just grabbing that same audio buffer that we're using on chain. So we've got this crash. This is the crash that's on chain. And now we've also got built into the on-chain playback engine is the ability to replicate everything that the sequencer can do. So whatever you can do on the sequencer is then just replicated on chain. One of them being the ability to trigger a reverse version of that buffer. So that then allows us to do the effect where you have that crash building into another crash, a forward crash. Oh, I put 2 reverses there. And then you can also do interesting things with things like the bass, where you can create kind of synth-like sounds. Oh, and you can also pitch it to get it. So anyway, my point was about royalties. So all of these might be individual hits, makes sense. There's someone who owns that kick drum recording, you're using it in your song, makes sense that you should pay them a royalty if you're selling it. This system becomes so streamlined, there's no inefficiencies, no paying all these multitudes of middlemen and middlemen to middlemen and women, and all of the unnecessary forces that exist in the current financial system for musicians. This is just like crypto. There's nothing really magic going on. It's just super efficient. When Bitcoin first came out, people just didn't understand it. They didn't understand where the value came from. They certainly didn't understand it when Ethereum started doing things and smart contracts started coming out, and people just didn't understand how you could farm and you could make money, and didn't really see that what it was just a super efficient system. You weren't seeing money appearing out of nowhere like magic. You were seeing the deficit disappearing like magic. You were seeing all the inefficiencies, all the times money is leaked away from you in a multitude of methods. All of that's gone. That was what appeared to be magic, and we can do the same now with music and with royalties, where it's just pure. It's just a pure on-chain set of data that allows an artist to share the wealth with whoever they want and whoever they need. They are the center of the financial framework. The money goes to the song. The song then expresses through this list of ordinal IDs who all the participating elements are, and those elements themselves earn their royalties. That kick drum earns a royalty. It doesn't necessarily say it's the kick drum. We can build a UI that will literally identify each element. It'll even say how many times it's played in the song, how much of the song's length it constitutes, how loud it is in the mix. All these things can be generated. They're all part of the instructions which are on chain, part of that 3 kilobyte tiny file that pulls the song together. It's all there, but in its most simple form, it's just a list of ordinal IDs that represent elements that are used in the execution, the programmatic generation of this song. So it's got the kick, it's got the snare, it's got the hat, but then it's also got this entire song. I'm just using this little section, but this is the new way. This is how remixing should have always been. There's no question where this sample came from, because when you load the song and you look at the data, this is what it will show you. It will show you, yeah, you're just hearing that a few times, but where does it come from? We don't have to go and match it to an artist. We don't have to go and employ somebody to chase down sample usage. The song itself just says, yeah, here's the entire song that this came from, and that's the bit that we're using in this song. It's so organic, and so that's one way we can pay royalties. And then, as I said, we're now I'm going to be adding an additional track in here, which is for adding music videos, which is just using, it's actually been a really nice piece of code to write, because obviously the sequencer and the player, they're very complex. There's a lot going on, 16 different channels interacting with each other, complex UI, all this sort of stuff, whereas the video player is a very, very simple version. It's like one channel of the sequencer basically saying, give me some ordinal IDs, give me a timeline. Now there we go, we have a music video. And so people will be able to, you'll be able to write songs, and then if you don't want to use Squeezy's fantastic visualizer, this amazing thing here that is a thing of beauty. Yeah, if you are just using your own artwork, and that might just be, so there'll be a version of the player that this will just be like I Love Cheese effectively. You can just have your artwork is just the I did did do that, and then it goes back and it's moved on the hat. But so you can have just your artwork, and it could be that your artwork is clickable, that plays the song, you don't have any of this animation stuff. And then there's having like a visualizer, and then of course there's the music video method, which is just another, for me, it's another branch for paying royalties now to holders of JPEGs and GIFs and MP4s. All of them now again can get listed as ordinal IDs to say, here's the ordinal IDs that made this music video. Some of those images might appear more than once, but we just get a list of what was used, and if we want what was used and when was it used. Again, just totally organic. Don't need to know who it is. We're just giving, it's just fair attribution. And to start with, what I'll be doing with the first Audional collection that I'm producing as Mellophonic is going to 20% of the income of the profit after whatever I receive. 20% of that will be put into. I mean, eventually, I hope that I'll get a multi-sig method, but to start with, it will just be probably manually sent out. It's only 16 addresses or so, 16, 20 addresses. But each of the sample holders will just get, if the ID, every ID that shows up on that song file will receive a share of the royalties. And then once we've got the video, the music video creator as well, that will be another list, all the visual holders, and they will then also become part of that royalty. I'm really looking forward to sending money to people who aren't expecting it. I don't even know how easy it will be to work out what it's for, but eventually people will realize. And so yeah, I'm really excited to get this started, because I think once we start showing that we can have this royalty system that is so pure and so unadulterated, unlike the absolutely massacred system in the real world, I think people will be amazed at just how efficient it is and how regularly they can earn money, like real royalties that are coming through to them at the value that they expected and nothing less. You know, I don't even know if there is an expected value in the real world. You get what you get, and you're lucky to get any of it because it's taken 20 hands to get it to you. So this should hopefully bring the same sense of magic, money appearing out of thin air that we had in the early days of crypto, to musicians in the form of rightfully earned royalties. And so, you know, the topic of today's show, what is it again? Breaking barriers, affordable on-chain tools. You know, this has been my mission since we very first started with the first sequencer. It was about cost. It was about looking at this weight of fees bearing down on us, and it's not going to go away. It's going to keep rising as more utility and more functionality comes to Bitcoin. Of course, we now have layer 2s that are going to eventually relieve this pressure, but still right now people really want to be working on Bitcoin. And you know, why shouldn't they? We've just got to innovate our way to make it affordable, because, you know, when it started it was so cheap. You could get an MP3. I mean, you're still squashing it down to 350 kilobytes, but you could get that on there for, you know, less than $100. You know, now even just doing that is going to cost, you know, up towards $1,000. And we needed to get it cheaper. And the first batch of players that we got out, we're using the JSON format, which was serialized, but it was also short. It was only 2.5 minutes that you could get in that first sequencer. It was just 16 sequences. Now it's 64. It's closer to I think it's closer to around 10 minutes or 12 minutes. And and when the first sequencer, when we put out those first songs, sorry, 1 second. The JSON files for those songs were, it was around 30 kilobytes, 25 to 30 kilobytes, which meant that your master file, if you're going to create a new song, it could be 2.5 minutes, and your master file would be around 30 kilobytes, which was going to cost, I mean, maybe $100 when we were doing it. But that now is, we just need to keep bringing that down, because of course that's just the master, that's just Studio Master, which is still a bloody good deal. It's just that it doesn't really scale. It's already slightly expensive. All we need is fees to go up by 5x, and it's back out of reach. While you can then distribute those songs, once you've got that master inscribed, you can then redistribute in individual copies using recursion. And you can, I think I've got the size of those down to around 150 bytes. And so you can, your cost to distribute is still very competitive, but there's still that friction when there's a cost of $100. For every new song that you want to distribute, you've got to pay at least $100, and that's using the Audional format. Forget it if it's real audio. That's already well, if you're going to try for high quality audio, it's just not affordable. But using the Audional method, using recursion and using on-chain inscribed audio elements, it's possible, but still expensive. But now this new sequencer and the new process for the new player. So what's driving this guy, wherever it is, the latest one is a 3 kilobyte gzip file. This one here. So what's sitting behind this is a 3 kilobyte gzip file, and that's it. It's serialized, it's compressed. Shout out to Hash Magic, who I put out feelers to quite a few people to see if I could figure out a way to decompress on chain, so that we could take these already, small files, but still a little bit expensive, and figure out something else. And then Hash Magic showed me this application. He'd built this cool paint application, an inscription, an ordinal inscription, which has its own built-in compression, so that it can create these large files and then compress them internally. But he showed me this file and said, the library's in there. And so I had to build a little sort of bridge to access that inscription, find the library, extract it, and then make it available to my other, to my application. And again, that was not such a hard task. It was quite a small application that I then inscribed that, and then I had direct access to the library, easy access to the library. And so then we were in a position to then take the song file from the sequencer, save it, which it actually saves as the new sequencer. It saves files. They're 12 minutes long. They've got lots of added extras. It's not just step on or step off. It's now got reverse steps. It's got the pitch shift. It's got the trim settings. There's a lot of additional details in there. So then those come out around 120 kilobytes. Then they are serialized, which is just a way of abbreviating a lot of stuff to get it down to a much more compact size without actual binary compression. That got them down to around 30 kilobytes, which was equivalent to our previous masters that were 2.5 minutes. And then with this added step, which thankfully I figured out how to do it, because for a little while it was it was triggering all sorts of warnings with the websites, the way I was decompressing the data. But anyway, we got there. And so it's now a 3 kilobyte gzip, which I think the other night cost me like $9 to inscribe. So that's my master. So now I've created a new song, and now I can inscribe the master. It's 3 kilobytes. So this really should open the doors to more musicians to inscribe more music. It's not going to cost an arm and a leg to inscribe your master. And again, that's just your master. When you want to distribute it, you can then recreate that master for, I looked the other night, I think it was around 30 cents. So you could create 1,000 of those for $300, and then distribute them to your fans. And these are, true technical wonders of the blockchain age. So yeah, I really hope that certainly prolific writers, people who write and release a lot of music, it just can't really happen until it's this affordable. But now I think it is, and now I think we've got it to the point where the overheads are low enough that it's, the everyday musician can take advantage of this, can start to play around in the blockchain world, start to experience this the miracle of efficient trading of your art. So I guess that covers what I was talking about. Breaking Bitcoin's barriers, affordable on-chain tools for musicians. This is it. This save button is it. Right now, I'm very close to having the whole thing stitched up so that anyone and everyone will just be able to make a song. The modular format of all the files has been hurting my brain a little bit for the last few weeks. Done quite a lot of inscribing, and then realized I needed to change something, and then realized it meant reinscribing 5 different modular files because the file I had to change was so deep. So I've been working out methods to get around that recently, just to make sure that when you come to inscribe your song, there's 2 or 3 files that you need to inscribe, assuming you already have your artwork taken care of, or you're going to use an existing inscription as artwork. Kind of forgetting the visual side. For your music, all you need is to inscribe the master file, which is which will be the gzipped version of the JSON that you get from the Audional sequencer. And then there is an additional config file that you can use, although I'm going to combine some of this into the song file. But then so really to distribute it, all you need is the gzip file, so that's 3 kilobytes, and then the HTML files, which you might allow people to mint if you wanted to have copies minted. And those, like I said, can be between 0.15 and 0.2 of a kilobyte, so they're a matter of cents at the current prices. And then I just hope that we can come up with a good standard for paying royalties. Like I said, I don't think we need to go too far into discussing like actual rights and percentages. I think right now I just want to come up with a simple model that just shows that if it's just really efficient, maybe we don't have to worry so much about that stuff. There's so much arguing, so many parties involved. It's kind of shocking that such a beautiful thing, such as music, has so much ugliness behind it. Behind every hit, there's several record label executives who've made more money than the artists. There's a handful of lawyers who are also profiting from the complexity of this industry that's sort of built around finding our way through this opaque system that's deliberately inefficient, because every added inefficiency just creates another income stream for a lawyer or an executive somewhere, never the artist. This turns all of that on its head. There's now the idea of a middleman is sort of blown out of the water, because there's no middle. There's no space for a middleman. There is payments, example, for minting a song, and then that song has the list of royalty addresses associated with it, and so the payments eventually will be automated. Someone mints, the artist gets paid, the royalty holders get paid, and then if there are any middlemen type services or individuals that want to offer their services to the artist, they'll have to go through the normal channels and have the artist agree and then pay them. They'll have to invoice the artist. We've got so used to it being the other way around. You know, musicians never access their money directly. It's always handed to them by someone else. And now that someone else has no option other than to ask the artist to share some of their royalties with them, because they're going to be judged on whether they're actually doing a job or not. They're not just going to get paid automatically, as is the current model. So, yeah, I just really want to get on with it. I want to get some more musicians getting involved. People can always just contact me if you create something really cool on the sequencer and you want to get it inscribed. Just get in touch and I'll just piece it together in a custom way for you. All I would really ask in return is that you follow my lead and pay royalties from your mint 1,000 of them, and give 20% of the profit to every ordinal ID that is used in your song. You want to earn more of the royalties? Inscribe some more samples, use your own samples, and then you can also, as the artist, claim your 80%, but then as the owner of some of the samples, and eventually plugins, EQs, synthesizers, all this sort of stuff will all just become part of the song, identified by the ID that is called to access that particular sound, function, process, whatever it is. Eventually, I guess you'll just be able to, the song file could be used to add sort of personal tokens that do nothing other than announce that a person is going to receive a share of the royalty. Perhaps someone who wrote the vocal line, because that's just recorded as a vocal. Maybe they don't own the vocal line, they don't own the vocal audio, but they wrote the vocal. So perhaps that would be a way for someone to just add an ID into a song file, just to add a person to the royalty list, even though that ID is not doing anything other than identifying an individual. The ID might be, or it might be for an inscription that is like a BNS name or something. Anyway, I'm waffling on now. I wanted to play something else that based.btc did a while ago. I think he sent me one of these that was a bit more drawn out, but I really like this anyway. He pieced this together himself. I've put it in. Oh no, I haven't yet. I keep meaning to put these in because we've got these presets here, but I'm going to add some more of these soon. I'd really love it again if people want to come up with presets. I think I've shown you how you can go onto Hero. You can find an audio sample. You can then go back into the sequencer and you can trim that sample. And I'd love it if someone, for example, went through all of these inscriptions piece by piece and, for example, found every time someone says Bitcoin and then create a full 16 channel where it's just all 16 different Bitcoins, all trimmed and ready to go. So I can then add that as a template in here, and then people can then pull those sounds in to new songs. Anyway, let's have a little listen to this drum mix that Bass made. It is only one sequence from what I can see, so unless I'm going to sit here and mute things, which I could do, see if I can dynamically bring it in. We start with probably. You get the point. I think I've waffled on for long enough. It's been about an hour, isn't it? Was there anything else I was going to play? I think I was going to play the... Yes, might play these. This one is, I think this is Freedom to Transact. It's funny, I was looking at this one and seeing that I'd written on I Love Cheese, and it says here, 1 of 111. I had plans to actually put out a collection, and then of course I didn't do it. Just made one. But that's all going to change soon. I think there'll be a market soon, and everyone will be ready. We'll have lots of music, lots of tunes, lots of styles. We've got there's some new OB1s that I haven't even had to play with. There's a Glock. I think maybe there's a steel drum, and there's a cowbell. So yeah, I can't wait to draw on those in some future music when I have some time to actually make some music. But yeah, I'll just play a couple of these and then see you later. Until next time. Oh, I've muted it. Unmute site. Here we go.
Based. O1. Based. 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 based B1 B based 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 B1 B based 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 B1 B based 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 B1 B based.
Please, and just be me. It's a freedom that we should all have. Without any conditions, we have no say in. There shouldn't be any strings attached, or any rhetoric about it being a sin. It's a freedom that allows us all to be equal, in a manner that is profoundly meaningful. And for that reason, they tell us it's dangerous. They say there's no way for it to be purposeful. When others don't want us to have this freedom, we have to stop and ask why. We have to ultimately see that it's about control, and that their so-called protection is a lie. This is the ultimate freedom, the most significant one. All others are built on top of this, and without this, no other freedoms can be won. Freedom to transact. 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 Freedom to transact.